नमस्ते, प्रणाम। गीता ध्यानम। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudevasutam devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki. O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. So our reading of the 6th Adhyaya, 6th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Dhyana Yoga, and today we are going to read the 32nd shloka, in which Sri Krishna is again going to tell us about that yogi who sees one in all from his own perspective. And in the 31st shlok that we had read, that Sri Krishna had told Arjuna, and Sri Krishna had told us also, that Sarva Bhuta Sthitam Yomam Bhajatyeka Tvamasthitaha. He who worships me, Yomam Bhajati Ekatvam Asthita, having established in the oneness of all selves. He who worships me, Sarva Bhuta Sthitam, having established his connect with all the beings as one. He who worships me in all the beings. Sarvatha Vartamanopi Sayogi Mai Vartate. That whatever he may be doing, whatever activity he may be engaged in, high or low, whatever life that aspirant might be leading, a high or low, a rich or poor, a pious or even evil, if he has, even if that evil person, if he has reached that stage, he is no more evil then. If he has reached that stage of seeing self in everywhere, in all the beings, and worshipping me in all the beings, then whatever he may be doing, whatever may be his way of living, Mai Vartate, that great devotee, that great yogi, he abides in me, he resides in me, he is very much a part and parcel of me. That is the great assurance that Sri Krishna has given in the 31st shloka. Now, in the 32nd shloka, again Sri Krishna says, Atmopam pammyena sarvatra samam pashyatiyo Arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. Saha yogi paramo mataha. Paramo mataha is extremely supreme, extremely absolutely highest order of that yogi is of the highest order. That yogi is regarded as the most supreme. Parama mataha. What kind of yogi? Atmau pammyena sarvatra samam pashyati yaha Arjuna. O Arjuna, that yogi is considered to be the most supreme. That yogi is considered to have reached the highest pinnacle on the path of this yoga. Who Atmaupamyena, having seen the likeness of his self everywhere. Sarvatra samam pashyat, and Sarvatra is everywhere. He is seeing himself as part and parcel of all the beings. Pashyati, and what he is seeing, samam pashyati, sukham va yati va dukkham. Whether it is pain or whether it is pleasure, he views those pain and pleasure. He experiences those pains and pleasures in everyone as he would feel or he would experience that pain and pleasure himself. If he is in pain, for him the entire universe is in pain. If he is happy, the entire universe is happy, and vice versa. If the entire universe is happy, whether he is in pain doesn't matter, he is also happy. That is the oneness that the yogi sets himself into, that considers everything as his own self. Atma aupamenna sarvatra samam pashyati yaha arjuna sukha va yadi va dukkham saha yogi paramaha mata. That yogi, O Arjuna, is regarded as the supreme, who judges pleasure or pain everywhere by the same standard as he applies to himself. He is happy, the entire universe is happy. That is how he considers oneness with all. There is no me and you. There is no dvaita then. There is no differentiation of me and others. It is only me and me, established in the Lord. And that is the stage, that is the ultimate stage of Dhyana Yoga. That is what Sri Krishna is now telling Arjuna. Now, with this specific reference to Arjuna in this shlok, Sri Krishna has given his all, whatever he wanted to tell, whatever he wanted to share with Arjuna on the Dhyana Yoga, right from the shlok where he told how to sit for meditation, how to prepare the seat, how to focus one's attention on the nasikagra, on the tip of the nose, and pull the mind from all external things, pull it over here in the heart, put it on me, and think of all as one. And that is the realization ultimately a person, a yogi, gets. And this is the last step of dhyana. This is the last step of that yoga, that he finds his oneness to entire universe to such an extent that his pleasure and pain are the pleasure and pain of the universe. The pleasure and pain of the universe are his pleasure and pain. So that is the ultimate culmination of that dhyana yoga, of associating oneself with all. No more that differentiation of me and you and the world. No, it is only one entity now. Me and the world, we are the same. Me and the Lord, we are the same. Man does not differentiate between the limbs of his own body as high and low. For me as a body, each and every part of my body is same, isn't it? I don't consider, oh, my hand is more powerful, or my right hand is more powerful than left hand. Do I consider? No, for me, both are same. For me, all my body parts are same. I give equal importance, even if one part has got some kind of pain or trouble. I feel about it. It is not that, oh, the hand is paining. Oh, no, my head is paining. No problem. The rest of the body is same. Do I consider? I never think it that way. Even if any small portion of the body gets afflicted, my whole being gets afflicted. So that is how we consider as far as our body is concerned. Now what happens to yogi? For the yogi, Paramatman is the ultimate body, and we are all the different limbs. So if one limb is affected, one limb is not comfortable, if one limb is in pain, if one small portion of that body is in pain, the entire body is in pain. So for a yogi, his pain is like pain of the entire world. And that is how he subsides his pain. She subsides her pain. that there is the entire world is in pain. Why should I cry now? Or if I am happy, the entire world is happy. Let us all rejoice. That is considered as oneness of the self. They are all the body parts are of equal importance to a person. The harm done to any limb is harm done to himself. An ordinary man is unassailable in this conviction of his. That is what happens with the ordinary people, all of us. If my hand is paining, I'm in pain, isn't it? I'm in pain. But for the yogi beholds cosmos as the body of the Paramatman. The entire universe is the body of Paramatman, and we are all one little finger, one middle finger, one index finger, maybe one eye, one nose, one ear. We are all just the parts of that cosmic being, the Paramatman. If one is uncomfortable, if one is having pain, if one is injured, the entire cosmic body is injured, isn't it? One limb in a body does not hurt another. All the limbs function for mutual welfare. Then what happens if one limb is not well? Other limbs, other body parts, they kind of try to pacify. It's okay, you will get well soon. And that is how a person recuperates from that pain or from that displeasure. The yogi knows that he and his neighbors are not different. They are all limbs of the same Ishvara. They are all limbs of the same Paramatman. So he works for the general welfare of all. That yogi is supreme who has this cosmic outlook, this universal outlook. And that is the ultimate, the penultimate step on the path of Dhyana Yoga. Having realized oneness with all to such an extent that the pleasure and pain also become shared with all. His personal, her personal pleasure or pain, they are perceived as the pleasure and pain of one and all beings in this universe. So that is what Sri Krishna has told. And here once again that story that Sri Ramakrishna had told about a holy man going into the town and one tenant, one landlord who was mercilessly beating a tenant. And Sri Ramakrishna went to the rescue of that poor tenant who was getting mercilessly beaten by the landlord. He tried to intervene. And that landlord, he diverted his anger, his frustration on this holy man. He started beating him left, right and center, blue and black, and yogi fell unconscious. The news went to his ashram. All his disciples, they ran to him, picked up his body and brought him in the ashram. And his beloved disciples, they started tending him. One of the disciples who was taking care of him, he was fanning that person, that yogi, to bring him to consciousness. Another one was sprinkling water on his face, and slowly that yogi opened his eyes. And this disciple who was tending to him, he asked him, "Revered sir, do you recognize me?" They thought maybe he has lost his memory, or what has happened to him. He has fallen unconscious. And then that holy man, he slowly opened his eyes and he says, "Yes, the same hand which has bitten me now is tending me, is taking care of me with all the love and care." That was the level to which the yogi had risen himself, seeing oneness in all. He saw that same landlord who had bitten him as his beloved disciple who was tending to him with all the love and care. And on this particular thing, there is also one very interesting story which we heard from our grandmother as children, that once Lord Ganpati, he was playing and one cat was disturbing him. So he was annoyed with the cat and he started beating that cat with a stick. And afterwards he came back home, and then he saw his mother Parvati. She was in pains, and he suddenly saw on her back she had marks as if somebody has beaten her with a stick. Ganpati asked her. Lord Ganesha asked his mother, Mother, who has beaten you? Tell me, I will go and just smash that person. Tell me, Mother, who has got this much of audacity of beating you, beating my mother? Then Parvati looks at him very lovingly and he said, Ganesha, did you beat anyone? And Ganesha was wondering, have I beaten anyone? And then suddenly he recollected, oh yes, that cat was troubling me while I was playing. So I had taken a stick and bitten her. But then why marks on your back, Ma? Ganesha asks. Then Parvati said, my child, your mother is in that cat also. That is the oneness. That is the oneness. Of course, she was Parvati. She actually bore those injury marks on her body just to give this teaching to her beloved son. That it is the Lord who dwells in all. It is the mother who dwells in all. So, that is how the yogi gets that ultimate realization on this path of Dhyana Yoga. That for him, me and you is gone. It is all vanished. It is history. Now, having reached that penultimate stage, it is me and us and our Lord. That becomes one. That becomes inseparable. That cannot be divided into two. So that is Sri Krishna's teaching to Arjuna as far as the Dhyana Yoga is concerned and what one attains. What is it? Okay, although Sri Krishna has told, don't look for what you are going to get at the end of doing anything. Don't have any expectation of the fruits. But on this path of Dhyana Yoga, Sri Krishna has told, this is what you get. You may not have that in mind, but ultimately you will reach to that stage. That is the ultimate knowledge. That is the ultimate wealth. That is the ultimate reward a yogi will get of seeing one in all, of having the feeling of my feelings with everyone. And that is the end point of Dhyana Yoga. So that was the 32nd shloka of the Dhyana Yoga, the 6th adhyay of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ram Krishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.